What's up, everyone? How you doing today? This is Carpo on another lovely day in the back room. Pouring rain outside, but I have a shelter over my head, and I'm a happy man. It's a very simple thing, having a shelter, for a lot of us. I thought earlier about how difficult it is to make a living when you're an artist or a philosopher or a person who is not particularly attracted to one job or one hobby or one thing. I mean, I'm not going to say that anyone wants to do the same job every day, but some people are more suitable to it. They're more suited. They do find something they like and they do it. You know, I'm a carpenter. I was a carpenter for years, but I hurt my back and I really can't lift a whole lot anymore. So I say, just go on to something else. And a lot of people can't switch. It's like what they do is what they do. And it was funny, this morning I clicked on a random video and it was, I think, the Young Turks, and it was like a live show, and they were talking about how difficult it is when you, let's say, it was about podcasts, I think, and this guy was talking about, got into talking about his podcast and how one of his friends had a podcast and she wanted to start doing it for a living, But once she asked for donations, everyone started saying, oh, you're just asking for money, I'm going to unsub you, and all these things. Now, years ago, when I started my YouTube channel, I thought about this. I was like, a lot of people do profit off of YouTube by putting up, controversial videos, then putting up, ads. And, it's not a lot of money, but if the person's putting forth material that's good and valid and important for society, then it's okay. People want to donate to that. People want to give money to people who are speaking. So if an independent person decides to start a podcast, doing research, let's say, then they have to either rely on the people to fund them just out of honesty, or to be, to be cool, to help them out, which works for a lot of people, especially if they have a lot of viewers, or they have to actually charge, which means they have to use advertising. Now, here's the catch, is when a person who talks about subjects such as, turn off your TV and don't let the media fool you and don't buy into the commercialization of the world, and then the person who's trying to share this information has to commercialize in order to get the information out there. It becomes an issue of an independent researcher only has so much time to do what they do without being paid. Like, for example, I've made like 3,000 videos for my channel, but I'm not a researcher. So I'm not going to market it and try to sell you my ideas, because that would be ridiculous, although a lot of people do. And I guess a lot of podcasts are like that too. They really don't say anything. They just speculate and charge people for it, but people are interested in it. And, I've thought in the past about starting my own podcast, but, when people were saying, I think what it was the girl who did the podcast, she was trying to get a new microphone so she could do, a better podcast. And it reminded me of, the guy showed some comments people had said, really harsh comments to her. And it reminded me of this guy who had left a comment a while back on one of my Kratom videos. And he says, oh, you're just trying to rip people off. And you're just trying to get one over on people, probably so you can buy a fancy new camera for your videos. And I thought about how preposterous that was. Because I was sitting here looking at the fact that actually I couldn't even use my camera, which I traded my camera for some weed, actually. That's how I got it. And I was actually using my tablet, which I couldn't even upload because I didn't have a computer. I had to go out and buy this cheap little notebook. Point being that I'm broke and I don't have money, nor am I trying to make money. But at least not getting one over on anyone, I'm not I'm an eccentric guy, but I'm not a materialist. I'm not interested in buying new things. I scrape by, point being. And anyway, I talked to the kid for a minute, and he started griping about how, I said, why are you so upset if other people are making money? Don't you have a job? Don't you want to work and make money? And he says, I have a job, I'm a dishwasher, and, my job sucks, and I hate it, so it just upsets me that other people are making all this money. And I looked at the guy's profile photo, he looked like he was about 16. I couldn't help but be like, grow up, man. You're 16 years old, you got a dishwashing job. Just be grateful you have a job. But if you want more, you have to go get it. And that's what brings up the point of some people want to go get too much. They want to take advantage. They want to abuse. You know, I have a thing where when when I'm making enough to survive and getting by, I'm usually happy at that point. You know, I've never felt like I have to have a huge savings account, or I've never even had a savings account, or you know, any type of, I don't know. You know, everybody wants to have a nest egg, but I realize that we got to work towards it. Each individual one of us. So my shortcomings and my lack of money is my own fault. And so I'm not going to go blame other people for making money because I'm not making any. And it comes to that problem where you realize that some people with means and with a lot of money do abuse that privilege, whereas some people use it for really good means. And then the majority of people who are stuck, who are broke, living check to check, many of us are just artists trying to find a niche, find a place to shine. It's hard. It's hard to make a living when you're a multi-potentialite, you know, and you have a lot of different hobbies and interests. So I've been spending, you know, some time today trying to write down and organize my thoughts as to what I'm going to do. You know, I can't do carpentry anymore. I'm not making that much money on my Kratom website. It's just kind of, you know, what I'd like to do is supplement and have 4 or 5 different jobs that I do. I'd like to make maybe my meditation benches and sell them. Then I could do maybe podcasts for donations down the road if I get a particular subject, or continue with various little businesses I have, you know, the herb business and other things, and just kind of make it, you know, as best I can. But this is where it comes to the point where like Aristotle talks about 2 different types of income, 2 different types of money or earning. There's the family income to support your family and your means, and then there's the overhead income which businesses make. And that income is questionable. You know, the taxed income, the overhead income, that's all questionable as to how important that really is, unless it's making the society operate better. So it's kind of an iffy area, but when it comes to the personal income, many people feel guilty because they're like, well, money doesn't mean anything to me, but I have to make it because I have to feed my family. Well, of course you do. And there's nothing wrong with that. Money at that point becomes an essential commodity. And that's the situation it is for me. I could live with nothing myself, but I have 3 kids and a wife, and I need to take care of my family. So it's a very tough thing. We have what we want to do and what we're supposed to do, and everything in the middle to figure out how to make that happen. And it's become harder and harder for entrepreneurs to start up, to get going. Every small company is being bought out by a larger company. Everything's consolidated, homogenized, monoculture, mono people. It's just a crazy world we live in, and it's not a bad world. The systems in place are systems that we've created. I know people are upset, and they want to blame the government for their financial problems, which is actually, you know, not too far from the truth. It's really the regulations that are put in place, or lack thereof, but it's one of the byproducts of a capitalist society. You have to understand that there are benefits, but regulations are minimal. So companies can charge as much as they want for, say, medication, pharmaceuticals, where we pay, you know, I think it's 50% more than all other countries for the same drugs. And we spend more on healthcare than the next 10 countries combined. Yet we're sicker. My point being is that America isn't it's what you make it, you know. There are people trying to make it a place for them to make profit, where it's all about money. But for the average family member, we just want to get by. We just want to live. We just want to have a good, happy life. And when other people interfere with that, it's very difficult. So people get angry. Then they start getting mad at the government because they can't make an income. They can't make a living. They get mad at the rich for having more than them. And often the blame rests solely on us for not being more motivated. I mean, I could probably be a millionaire if I worked my ass off, but it's just not in my interest. But maybe it should be. At least I could maybe use that to help out some people. But so I say, money brings nothing but trouble. And this is, I guess, really the point. It's just making it and being happy. My only purpose for making income is so my wife doesn't have to work so hard. And, yeah. So does that make it a selfish or a selfless thing? I don't know. Money's funny, isn't it, honey?